It's Jennifer Vatsa here of Belladonna's Botanicals, and this is episode 5 of our Accessibility Magic series. And this week I want to talk about visualization magic and some techniques for that. So, a lot of what I talk about is making magic accessible, especially if you either don't have the financial means to, spend thousands of dollars on occult supplies, or you have physical limitations, or are neurodivergent or have mental health issues, whatever the issue is that comes up with this. So, one of the things that you can do, like when we talk about meditation and astral travel and visualization, sometimes when you're doing a spell or ritual, you want to really, when they say like visualize, if you're doing a love spell, visualize you and your partner, walking down the aisle and getting married, and it's the greatest day of your life and all the details and things like that. So, how do you do that if you can't visualize? Because apparently not everyone can visualize. I'm a very visual person. So it's also like people who don't have internal monologues. Like I have several monologues going at any given time. So that's why I'm probably a little chaotic. But so that's one of those things. So I am really adept in visualization. So because I'm a very visual person, like, I went to art school and stuff like that. So I have a lot of training in that area and ways of seeing things. And I also did some, kind of basic training when it came to like really kind of focusing on stuff for, sorry, I'm pulling out some cards. These may not have been the most basic cards to pull out, but well, that can kind of do. Okay. All right, cool. Because I want to show visual aids for visualization. Funny that. So, like for me, I have become so adept at visualization, and some of it might just be how a neurospicy brain works. Apparently, someone was talking about how people who are neurodivergent have like more neurons than neurotypical people. I'm like, that would explain a lot, but so that might just change the way we process things. Like I have very highly attuned visual scanning and processing skills. Like I can walk into a store and be like, okay, that rack has the thing on it I want to buy. I don't really have to look through every single rack in depth. Like I could just look at something and be able to see all of it. And it's, do I maybe miss something? Sure. I'm sure I gloss over something every now and then, but it's for me, I just have very highly attuned visual processing skills and they're very fast. So I don't need to spend an hour in the shoe store looking at every single pair of shoes to pick out the pair of shoes. I walk in the store, look in the store and go, okay, here's the 2 pairs of shoes I want to try on. Maybe 3 if it's a wild day, because I hate shoe shopping. Anyways, but I digress. So when we talk about adding our energy and our intentions to any of our spell work we're doing, is that what's helpful is to be able to visualize those. So even if you're doing a simple candle spell, and it doesn't have to be a 7-day candle, you can just use a little chime candle to be able to visualize that intention and all the details surrounding that. Like my visualization skills are like I've honed them to the point where like I can, when I'm in the astral realm, like I can pick out such amazing details, like to the point of I can smell the flowers in my dark garden. I can feel the water. Like you'll start to be able to, as you build on your skills of visualization, you'll start being able to not just see in that sense of really being there and experiencing it, feeling it, touching it, tasting it, smelling it. All of your senses will start to align. And that's what makes visualization and magic really powerful. So for those who aren't adept at visualization for any number of reasons, what helped me to be able to do this a little more especially if you're working with like sigils and things like that, to help me. Because when I first started doing like astral travel, it, like the first few times, it was just kind of like movement and shapes and color and light. Like it wasn't concrete, you know. Once I got more adept at training that, it just opened up a whole new world for me. So these are actually some Reiki cards I have. It's kind of like a I don't know. I'm like, I don't even know. I've looked at this deck after I bought it. I mean, it's something you can do with, you know, if you're incorporating Reiki into rituals, if you're doing a reading or stuff like that. So, what I would say is for starting at the basics, like you want to look at shapes and you kind of do a progression. So, like, you know, I'm talking about the main shape on here, the square. So, visualize the white square or whatever color square. Um, it could just be the, you know, like an outline of the square. So, you know, and it might help you to, you know, draw a square, print a picture of a square. I have a card with the square. So now I'm looking at that square as it's drawn on here. And now if you close your eyes, visualize that square. You may only be able to hold on to it for a few seconds when you first start out. But if you do this every day, if you really want to get adept at visualization magic, doing these practices every day will accelerate you exponentially. So you've got your square. Now close your eyes. How long can you hold that visualization of the square? Nothing else. Just think about the square. Imagine the square there. How long can you hold that visualization? And if it's only a few seconds at a time, try the next day. See if you can hold it for a few seconds longer and longer and longer. And after a while, you will just be able to be like, okay, there's the square and it's not going anywhere. So now what you want to do is maybe the square is now a red square. So imagine the red square. Close your eyes. See how long you can hold the red square. Because this will also help you if when you start with the basics of any kind of and this, you know, from having taken way too much basic drawing, you start out simple like this. You're not trying to you know, memorize, you know, every detail of, sorry, I just went into art history recesses and I'm like, not everyone's gonna get that reference. I was like, memorize every detail in Picasso's Guernica. It's a really fucking cool mural, by the way. It's about the Spanish Civil War. Anyways, but you'll eventually get to that point where you can. So now you've got your square. So you want to kind of work your way up from there. So you've got your square. You've worked your way from the square. Let's do a heart. Let's do some squiggles. Let's do some lines, you know. So thinking about it in that sense and going through those progressions, and then you can start adding details to it. This is maybe a blue heart. Then it's a purple heart, and then, you know, or the heart can morph from red to orange, you know, through the rainbow and back. So as you're developing these skills, feel free to play with them a little bit, how it makes sense for you to do it. Because what you will be able to do then, once you get adept at visualizing basic shapes, is you can start moving on to sigils. So being able to, you know, look at Lucifer sigil, and there are some sigils that are very complicated. Like I have a general visual framework of what, like, say, Beelzebub's sigil looks like, or Asmodeus. They're just very complicated sigils to draw. So or like I know like I'm visualizing it, but I'm probably missing some of the details of it. But the general thing is there. So like taking this is Lucifer's sigil. So taking the sigil and, you know, focusing on it, closing your eyes, seeing if you can visualize it as it looks like on this card. And you could start out, this is a little fancy. I mean, you could just start out with like black ink on white paper, to doing something like that. So as you move from the basic into intermediate, you might move to a picture. And again, we're talking about a basic picture. Like, do I have a basic picture here? Looking at what is around me. So let's see. Okay. since I have these here. So this is, not quite basic enough. Let's say that's a tarot card, but we'll move on to that. Okay, just say a tree. Take a picture of a tree, just a generic tree or a flower or something like that. So you'll start to, really, process that flower, look at that flower, study it, study, the way each petal is attached to the central part, which I should know. I'm like, what's the word for that? You're an herbalist. You should know this. And my brain is like, I forgot words. So, look at how the stem is attached. Are there thorns? Are there leaves? What color are the leaves? What shape are they? So, but start simple. Maybe start with just a generic tree or a tulip. I'm not trying to think of the most basic flower, like a tulip or a daisy or something like that. Something that's very easy to visually replicate, because some flowers would be harder. Like I think it would be harder to replicate, say, peonies or something that has a lot of bulk and detail to it. So, but starting simple with that, think about the tree, just a simple pine tree. Look at the picture of the pine tree, close your eyes. Can you see the pine tree? And you could try that with multiples. Okay, can you now see two pine trees? Can you see a whole forest? You're going to work up to that point where you're training your brain to do this. It's not beyond the realm of possibility. It just takes a little bit of work to get there. You might not be able to sit down right now and visualize every single thing, but you can get to that point. I mean, barring any major medical reasons why you wouldn't be able to do that, or neurological reasons, it's something that we could definitely work on. I mean, it's you'll get to a point where you're in the sweet spot for your practice. So as you're working through the intermediate stage, you might want to evoke, like, look at a picture that evokes an aroma. So again, you might want to stay with your flowers. We know what roses smell like, unless you have what is it, anosmia, or you've lost your sense of smell. But generally what things smell like. So if you imagine a piece of chocolate, now try to smell that piece of chocolate as you're visualizing it. So you want to start adding those things onto your basic visualization. So I've got the piece of chocolate. Now I'm putting an aroma with what the chocolate smells like or what it tastes like, if it's something that you can eat, or drink. So if you're visualizing, a ritual, and part of that ritual involves drinking wine, being able to taste the wine during your visualization is going to make it more powerful. So as you're working through this, now looking at a picture that evokes a physical sensation, like take something simple like a hairbrush. We've at least probably brushed our hair once in our lives. So think about the sensation of brushing your hair. What does that feel like? Going through that, like thinking of that sensation, think of how that sensation feels. Is it calming? Is it annoying? Do you not like it? Do you love it? So being able to now attach sensations and feelings to an image, you're building this repertoire in your vocabulary, a visual vocabulary in your head. And, maybe look at a picture that evokes a sound or music, whether it's like, say, a picture of a guitar or a picture of, a band you like or something like that. Like looking at a picture of Motley Crue, I can, visualize what my favorite Motley Crue songs are. Don't judge me. But again, you're just going to keep building on this. And as I say in most of my videos, progress through it however works for you. Like I found for me in the beginning, whether you do this for 6 weeks, 6 months, or longer, however long it takes you to get that, even if you're just doing this for 5 minutes a day, you could do it before bed, or when you're getting up in the morning. Just take the time to visualize something. and see how long you can hold it. So in the intermediary, we're not only visualizing, we're adding some additional layers to it. So we have still the simple visualization, but we're also adding in, taste, touch, smell, sound. So that's the next level of it. When we get into advanced visualization, we're going to be combining all of those senses and looking at more complicated arrays. So now you want to pick out your, tapestry or your tarot cards. So let's pull up a tarot card. I've got the Thoth deck right here. Excuse me. Okay, we're not going to take the 10 of Swords because not my happy card. I'm looking for a good card that has a lot of detail in it. Ugh. God, I haven't used this deck in a while. All right, we're going to go with the universe, which is, ironically, I've been doing some tarot card spells. So ironically, one of my candles has the Thoth deck universe on it from something. So now we're looking at a more complex image. So what you want to be able to do is study this image to the point you can now visualize it completely in your head. And then you can use anything in this, whether it's a piece of art, your street, whatever makes the most sense to you. I just picked this out because the deck was sitting right there, and I think I brought it over for this very reason. So, being able to visualize a complicated array of imagery all at once. Like this could be part of, say, your astral realm, your astral temple. So now what you want to look at too, in addition to having complicated arrays of visual data, is applying all the senses to it. I just put that card away. Like, okay, so I'm looking at the Queen of Cups now. This card feels very cool, very watery based on the imagery. So now I'm going to visualize, maybe I'm in a lake and there's a cool breeze blowing through the air. So now I've added a different layer to this visualization. It's got a lot of movement in it. So I feel like there's maybe some wind and there's some lotus flowers floating. So now I'm visualizing what is the smell of blue lotus. So you see how you can add a lot to your visualization by doing that. Again, practice. Practice makes perfect, as they say. So to keep moving through advanced visualization, take more start sequencing your images. Start, putting things together. And from that, you're going to be able to say, take one of your rituals you do. Even if it's something just as basic as lighting a candle. Go through the entire process of that, just thinking about it. In your mind's eye, think about that process. Think about how how it feels to, use the lighter or the match, the warmth of the candle, the smell of the candle, all of those things, and start building on it. So maybe you're not doing a candle. Maybe, I can't do outdoor, magical stone circle things and whatnot. So maybe I'm imagining I've got a fire pit, a bonfire outside, and I've got my circle perfectly aligned with stones, and I have the markers for the 4 directions because I have no sense of direction. So we want to have that. And at each one of those stones, I have the appropriate corresponding element because I can also never remember that. And there's an altar, near the fire, and what's on the altar, looking at it, and I can see the glass of wine, I can see all the candles, I can see a sigil plate, and everything is there. Now I'm just gonna, inside my head, do the ritual, cast the circle, pick up my sword or my athame, and say my invocation or my prayer or state my intention, and you're doing magic. all inside your head. Because that's also the power of intention, because that's a lot of what we're working with in Magick is energy manipulation and intentions. So of course you can do this stuff by doing visualization magic. um so yeah, I hope you found that helpful. Our minds are capable of a lot, and sometimes it takes training on things, and you might want to move from, just still images as you advance through this practice into, take a you know take a scene from your favorite television show or movie. See if you can play it inside your head, noticing all the details, each character, what they're doing, what's going on, and see how long you can hold that, because that'll all help. So it's just training your brain. And um yeah, because visualization magic is great if you can't do. That's why I do a lot, and that's going to help you in building your ability to visualize during astral travel, during meditations, and any kind of spirit work like that. So Rome wasn't built in a day. So, just work on it and take your time and see how you end up, because it's very powerful. And I hope you found some value in this, and I have a lot more slated in this series. So I've really been enjoying doing this. Don't forget to click like and subscribe, share, and etc. So anyways, thank you for watching, and I love you all. Bye.